Hello, friends. Welcome back to my channel. And today I am going to explain Amazon Simple Storage Service, that is S3. So let's start. In this video, I am going to cover what is S3, what are the important points which we should know about S3, types and security in S3, versioning and lifecycle management of objects inside S3 plus object lock. Then we'll see the encryption, how it is done in S3. Then there is interesting topic which is multi-part upload and download. We are going to look into that. And then at the end we will see S3 replication. And with this all the details, I'm going to give you a small demo to how to create the S3 buckets. So let's start. What is Amazon Simple Storage Service, that is S3? So, Amazon Simple Storage Service is a service offered by AWS that provide object storage through a web service interface. It means S3, as its name suggests, simple storage service. It is a storage service which is provided by the AWS or Amazon, and it store the data in the form of objects, and we can always access this service through web interface, that is our AWS management console. If you guys are not aware about what is AWS management console, then you can refer to my old videos about AWS. I have covered there. So this is a console, this is a web interface where you have to just log in and you can access your S3, you can access the data inside S3, and it's very simple. So in this diagram, if we see, it explain the functionality of S3. So here we have the data source from where the data is coming. The data can be from on premises, it can be from another cloud, it can be from any other files or anything. So this data is coming. If you see, we have I in this diagram we have the list of the types of data which can store in the S3, like analytics data. We have the log files, we have application data, videos or pictures, or any backup or archival data. So it moves your data to Amazon S3 from wherever it lives, in the cloud, in application, or on premises. So this way we are getting the data inside Amazon S3, and Amazon S3 is a object storage, means it store the data in the form of objects. It is built to store and retrieval of any amount of data from anywhere. So you can access this globally. And then how Amazon S3 store the data? It store the data in the form of buckets. So it create the bucket, and these buckets are specific to the region. So while creating the bucket, we have to specify for which region we are creating this. And in the bucket, we can also do access control management. We can control who should access the data and who should not. And we can upload any amount of data inside the S3 bucket. Now, here are some functionality or features of S3 bucket. First is control the access of the data, then optimize cost with storage classes. S3 buckets come with different types or different storage classes based on our needs, based on the data accessibility, and based on the budget. We can select the appropriate S3 bucket, then replicate data to any region. We can always transfer the data from one S3 bucket to another across the regions. Access from on premises or VPC. S3 buckets can be accessed from any on premises application or through virtual private cloud. Then protect and secure your data. So we will see the different types of encryptions which we can use in the S3 objects or bucket. Then gain visibility into your storage. As I said, by the web interface control or web interface, we can access the data of S3 globally. So these are some features which are applicable to S3 bucket. And once we store the data to S3 bucket, this data can be used by any of these application, where it is an artificial intelligence or machine learning application or any analytics application. The data can be accessed and used. We can use any AWS or third party services to analyze the data to gain the insight from the data. So, this is a complete picture about how S3 works. So, let's move forward. Here are some important points which we need to remember about S3. First is S3 store files as objects and work on key value pair. So, the files, for example, if I have a file of logs or if I have an image, all these considered as files. So, we store the data inside the S3 as files. Now, how this value gets stored in the form of key value pair? For example, I have a file or I have an image of a pet. Okay, so the pet image we have, then the name of the image is pet, so the name of the file is considered as the key. So here pet is the key, means the image name is the key, and the data inside the image means the image itself, which is in the form of when we see the data about image, means it is in the form of bits 0 or 1, that data will known as the value. Then this is the S3 terminology. Objects mean files, so it is a file storage system. And then file directory means bucket, so the group of files inside a directory is known as bucket. And tier of the data is combination of multiple buckets. Now if we talk about the availability and durability of S3, availability means if suppose something happened to one of the data center or any server, after that also the S3 data or S3 bucket should be available. That kind of availability is there in S3, and it is 99.95 to 99.99%, which is very good. How they achieve this kind of availability? Because S3 store data into multiple availability zone. So if one availability zone is down, we can always get the S3 data from another availability zone. So we have that functionality. Then durability. Durability is the loss of data what we anchor while storing the data. So S3 provide 99.9 times 9 durability of the data. So there are very less chance of losing any kind of data inside S3 or S3 buckets. Let's move forward to different storage classes or different types of S3 buckets. The first one is S3 standard, which is mostly used by many of the application. The feature of this bucket is it used for storing static web page. Suppose I am creating a static website and all the files related to the website, all the main file and the dependent file and configuration, all these files I can store in my S3 standard bucket. And this bucket is having durability of 99.9 times 9, that is and 11 nines. So that kind of durability is there, so we can always store the this kind of data, file data, in our S3 standard bucket. Now there is an option of S3 infrequent access. As the name suggests, the data which we are not accessing on a regular basis, we need it once in a while based on our situation. Suppose the backup data, I have backup lot of my old files which I may refer very less. That kind of data we can store in S3 infrequent access. Why? Because this S3 standard is comparatively costly than S3 infrequent access. So to save our money as well, we can choose this option to store the backup data. Now S3 Glacier. S3 Glacier is used to archive the data which we don't need like for a long time. That kind of data we can store in S3 Glacier. Of course, this will be the cheapest option if we compare in S3 standard and frequent access. So the data which we need to store for the regulatory or compliance basis, there I can give you one example about telecom industry, where we need to store the call logs for 7 or 15 years or any of the year. then that kind of data we can always store in the S3 Glacier. Because these data is not used regularly, it might require some time for the audit purposes, for the compliance purposes. So we just need to keep that data stored with us. That is the only purpose. So for that reason we are using this S3 Glacier we can use. Now there is a facility of S3 Intelligent Tire. This functionality is used to monitor the object access pattern and move the data from S3 infrequent access to S3 standard and vice versa. So, if we have a huge amount of data and we cannot identify which data we are using almost every day and which data we are using very less or accessing very less, then we can use this intelligent tire service. It will observe your access pattern, and based on that it will move the data to another storage class. For example, if the data is in standard, it will move to infrequent access, and if we are using a data from infrequent access almost regularly, then it will place that into the standard. So let's move forward to S3 Glacier instant retrieval. So we have some different types inside S3 Glacier itself. The first one is instant retrieval. This retrieval is when we store an archive data but we require an immediate access. So this means that the archive data we are not accessing every day or every month, but whenever we want this data we want on immediate basis, means we cannot wait. So in that cases, we should store the data to instant retrieval, S3 Glacier instant retrieval. Then based once we are going down, the cost of the storage is getting reduced. So if you want your budget to be maintained and also you want to store the data, then we have to choose the appropriate storage. Here we have S3 Glacier flexible retrieval, means it will also store the archival data which we are not using on daily basis or weekly or monthly basis, but when we want it within few minutes or hours. Means we can wait for a couple of hours or minutes for that data to get retrieve. In that cases we can use flexible retrieval, and as compared to the other Glacier option, this is a low cost option. And the last is S3 Glacier deep archive, means here we can store the archive data as usual, but here the retrieval time is 12 hours. So whenever you need data, if you have the timeline of 12 hours, you can wait. In that case, we should use S3 Deep Archive because this is the lowest cost option. Now we have at the end S3 Outpost. So AWS Outpost is a facility or functionality of AWS where it provides all its services to your own premises, but the services are managed by AWS. So there is no need to go to cloud. So if you are using AWS Outpost, with that if you are using S3, then that S3 is S3 Outpost you should choose. So these are the different options or storage classes of S3. I hope you will able to understand this and can choose appropriately. Okay, so let's move to the security. Security is a very important feature of S3 because we can store sensitive data in the S3, and it is always required to be have control of the data. So we have different types of security which is available with S3. One is server side encryption. Server side encryption means we apply the encryption on the bucket. The S3 bucket where we are uploading our data or storing our files, in that bucket itself, when we apply the encryption policy, in that case, all the objects or files what we are uploading to that bucket after applying the encryption, these files, this data will also automatically get encrypted. And then we have access control list. Access control list is for the individual buckets and it provide the file level access. In this access control list, it create a list of the permissions, like what is allowed and what is denied. So we can give till file level permission to a particular user using access control list. Then we have bucket policies. So we can create the policy, a custom policy of the where what is allowed and what is denied. So for example, some user group can be allowed to only read the data, some user group can only be allowed to write the data or read both, or some are just allowed to do everything. So all these kinds of different access we can also customize and create bucket policy. So all the files which get uploaded in that bucket will follow the bucket policy. Let's move forward to the versioning of objects in S3. Now, this is a very interesting thing which might come in most of the exams as well. S3 versioning. So, whatever files we are storing in the S3 bucket, if we are changing anything in that file and uploading it again, it will create a new version. For example, if I created my HTML web page and I have uploaded that HTML file in my S3 bucket, now I have changed something in my HTML file and I want to upload again. So it won't override, but it will definitely create a new version of that HTML file. Now, suppose by mistake or intentionally I have deleted one of the HTML file, so that file won't get removed completely, but it will create a deleted version. So we can always retrieve the deleted data also from the S3, and that is the beauty of S3. Now the change applied to the bucket properties will be applied to all the versions inside the S3. Now we have lifecycle management. Lifecycle management means the objects or the files in the S3 should move to the cheaper options based on their life cycle or based on their usage. Here I have given some example. For example, I have stored a file in S3 standard, and that file should be here for the first 30 days, and after 30 days that file should automatically move to infrequent access, and after 90 days that file should automatically move to S3 glacier. So this automation of moving the file based on the lowest option available is can be mentioned in the life cycle. When we create life cycle management rules in the S3, we can define this, and based on this the data will get transition. Now we'll see S3 object lock. In S3, we store the data in the form of objects or files. So S3 follow up policy for the lock. Write once, read many. Means once you have written something on the files or objects, then it will lock it and we'll be able to read as many times as we want. So this follows the worm. So the objects in the S3 can be locked, and there are different lock modes which can be applied on S3 objects. The first one is governance mode. In the governance mode, user can't overwrite, delete, or alter any version until and unless permission is granted to do so. So we need to take the appropriate permissions, but we can only modify the retention policy. Now in the compliance mode, user can't write anything, can't overwrite, can't delete, including the root user, and even we cannot change the retention policy in the compliance mode. Retention period mode, this mode talks about the retention period, so we can apply some retention period. Until that period we cannot overwrite or delete any of the version, but once the retention period get expire, we can alter the versions unless any legal hold plays on that version. What is legal hold? Legal hold prevent object versions from overwritten or deleted. So if we place a legal hold, that particular object cannot be modified or deleted. Once the legal hold is released, then only the changes can be done after acquiring the permissions. So let's move forward to the encryption in the S3 buckets. S3 bucket follows some encryptions policy. So there are basically two types of encryption. Encryption in transit means when the data is in moving state, when the data is getting transferred from S3 to EC2 or S3 to other modules. At that time, at that time there are two methods to apply encryption. One is to apply SSL or TLS, and the other one is to apply HTTPS encryption. And then encryption and in rest. This means when the data is there in the S3 bucket and it's not moving, at that time there are two different types of encryption which can be applied. One is server side and other is client side. In server side, we can apply encryption like via console, just like a GUI click and enable that kind of thing, or we can write bucket policy to apply the encryption on the bucket. Once we apply the encryption on the bucket, then whatever objects we get uploaded to the buckets will encrypted. So these are different methods to apply encryption inside the bucket. One is SSES3, which followed AES 256 bit. Then we can use key management service for encryption. This is provided by AWS, or we can use customer provided key to encrypt the data inside S3 buckets. Now, the other one is client side encryption, which is the encrypt the object and upload. So, here we should encrypt the objects before uploading it. So, this all talk about the encryption. Now, moving to the multi part upload and download. So this upload and download is applied when we want to upload a very huge file or when we want to download a huge file. So when we have a big file and we are using multi-part upload, at that time this big file gets split into the different file chunks and all these get uploaded parallelly. This is used when the file is greater than 100 MB or 5 GB. Multi-part download, when we have a huge file, the file gets splits into the different file chunks based on the GB. So suppose if we have a 3 GB file, this is just an example, and we want to download it, it will get split into 1 GB and each of the chunk get downloaded parallelly. So this is like it divides the data on the basis of byte, hence it is a byte range fetches. Now moving to the last facilities, that is S3 replication. S3 allows replicating objects, so we can replicate, copy, upload, paste, that kind of thing we can do. S3 allows replicating from one bucket to another, and the another bucket can be in the different region altogether. For replicating, versioning should be enabled and delete marker won't get replicated by default. If you want to replicate a deleted version, you have to mention that explicitly. I will show you a demo of S3. So let's go to AWS console management. So I have logged into AWS console management. Now let's search for S3 here. Go to S3. Now we have to create a bucket. So let's go and create bucket. Now, if you see, this bucket is global element of AWS, means these bucket are available globally, means they are their name should be unique, means if a bucket of the name what we are creating right now is already available in AWS anywhere globally, then we cannot create the bucket with the same name. So we have to keep the name unique. So let me create a bucket here. Suppose I am creating a demo bucket and I have to keep it unique. So I will give some, random numbers to make it unique. Then the region on which we want this bucket, we have to select that. Then we'll see ownership. Then here access control list we are not using for now, it's disabled. And then block all the public access. By default it will block all the public access. If we want to access this bucket through any of the public uh, application, then we need to disable this. And then bucket versioning, for now it is disabled. If we enable it, then it will start creating versions of the object. Then default encryption is server side encryption, which is using S3 managed key, that is SSES3. So we'll keep it as is. Bucket key is enabled because we are using server side encryption. In the advanced setting object lock, it is disabled. So we keep all the defaults as it is and will create the bucket. So now if I am creating, it's giving me some error. Demo bucket must not contain uppercase letters. Okay. So this bucket name is having uppercase and it is not allowed. So let's just change that and now try creating bucket. Yes. So bucket got created successfully. We can see this is the bucket what we have created. Let's go to this bucket and here we'll try to upload objects. So to upload objects, I will select some files. So once you click on upload, the rest things let it be default. You can see the upload is succeeded, means both the files got uploaded successfully. So this is how we can create S3 bucket and this is how we can upload the files. Now in this these two files in this bucket, if we go to the properties, we can see that versioning is disabled. If I want to the versioning to be enabled, we can always go here and bucket versioning we can enable this. So after enabling, now whatever life cycle rules will create, it will include the versioning. So we have enabled it, and if we go to the permissions, it blocked the public access by default. We can always go edit this. And then metrics is like total bucket size and object, it will show you that kind of data. In the management, we can create the life cycle rule. Like for example, I am creating some my demo bucket rule. Limit the scope of this rule using one or more filter, or allow apply this for the all the objects in the bucket. So you have to just acknowledge this and now move current version of the objects between storage classes, or we have non current or expired version or permanently deleted different versions we can choose. So I am just selecting current version. So storage class, that is infrequent access, when the current version should move to infrequent access after 30 days. So this is the one life cycle rule which I have created. So object will move to infrequent access from standard after 30 days. Then the current version object will do. Now let's create this rule. So automatically after 30 days, the two files what we have uploaded will move to the IA storage class. Like this, we can create the life cycle rule. So if we go here again an access point, so this is the different access point we can create. For now I'm just keeping this demo as a basic. So I hope this is helpful for you to understand how to upload the data. So let's go back. So, this video I think will be helpful for the people who are preparing even for the exams like cloud practitioner or solution architect, and the people who want to work on S3. So, I will keep coming with more such videos. Till then, stay tuned. Take care of yourself. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye.